JB,
Isn't that
aka
awesome?
Cypher Benjamin, coming at you live and direct from.
Okay, so we're going to give it a few more minutes, let people get started, let people arrive and get here, because this thing was actually meant to be starting at 7 p.m. But while we're waiting for other people to join us, I'm just going to introduce a few of the other people here, and the kind of the format of what we're doing.
Let people get started, let people arrive and get here, because this thing is actually meant to be starting
live
at 7 p.m.
Twitter space, not just on Twitter, but also on YouTube as well.
I'm just going to introduce a few of the other people here.
It's actually being recorded, which means we have a live video feed being provided at the same time as we're discussing this.
We're doing a
now, this is kind of an interesting opportunity, because what this means is, unlike with most Twitter live spaces, where people will discuss stuff and have things that would be far easier to show,
which means we
have
a
showing other than them for them to
at the same time as we're
discussing
this.
Tweet.
Now, this is kind of an interesting opportunity, because what this means is, unlike with most Twitter live spaces, when people will discuss stuff and have things that would be far easier to show, there's no real way of them showing it other than them
recording this live and putting it onto YouTube later on. We also provide an avenue so people can actually see some of the things that we're talking about. This is especially useful today, because one of our guests has done what I have to describe as one of the best infographics I've ever seen on my life, in how communications, boundaries, all this kind of stuff, and how we communicate, and the emotions and the emotionality of communications are all linked together. And even better, how it ties into NFT
infographics I've ever seen on my life.
So, as we see that we finally hit 7 p.m., we'll get started introducing people. So we have with us today our guests. I'm going to introduce them. We have Dasha, who is an expert in relationship communications and author of an amazing book, which I'll let her introduce shortly. And then we have
with us today our guests. I'm going to introduce them. We have
sorry, one sec.
Dasha, who is an expert in relationship communications and author of an amazing book, which I'll let her introduce shortly. And then we have,
sorry about that little technical difficulty there. Yes, there is a delay. Yes, it's one of the delays in between comms, even within a network. They can sometimes be distracting. Okay, so back to that, we have Dasha Schindler, relationship comms expert, and then we have LilDAOS with us as well, discussing their amazing project. It's a Solana project. It's freaking awesome. I mean, so much goodness to describe that. And then later on today, we should also have somebody joining us from TygerNFT
expert,
as well.
And then we have
now,
LilDAOS with us as well.
Seeing as it's kind of a short stack audience we appear to have at the moment, that's fine, because as I said, this is being recorded, and I've noticed I seem to get more people accessing this in post in any case at the moment while we're building that audience. So without any further ado, what I'll do is I will hand the mic over post-introduction to our first guest.
That's fine.
Our first guest being Dasha Schindler, relationship expert. Dasha, you have the mic. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what it is you do, how it is, and this whole thing that we call communications, and why is it so important when we're trying to either meet a new person or even invest in a project?
You have the mic. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what it is you do, how it is, and this whole thing that we call communications, and why is it so important when we're trying to either meet a new person or even invest in a project?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you, no problem, Dasha.
Yes, we can hear you, no problem, Dasha.
JB, I'm not hearing anything from the speaker.
Okay, sorry about this. Just one moment. Let me just check and see what appears to be the difficulty at the other end. One sec.
JB, I'm not hearing anything from the speaker.
Okay, sorry about this. Just one moment. Let me just check and see what appears to be the difficulty at the other end. One sec.
Okay, and I'm back, and yes, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. As is always the case when you're doing something live, it didn't work. Damn it. Okay, so again, back over to you, Dasha, which is it's kind of worked out because we have more people here now. So
and yes, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. As is always the case when you're doing something live, it didn't work. Damn it. Okay, so again, back over to you, Dasha, which is it's kind of worked out because we have more people here now. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm new to this Twitter space. Can everyone hear me now? Hopefully.
Yes, we're all good. Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Newbie at Twitter. Okay. So much
Sorry, I'm new to this Twitter space. Can everyone hear me now?
I don't know if you've heard it, but I'll repeat myself a little bit.
Hopefully.
I said my motivation.
Yes, we're all good. Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry about that. Newbie at Twitter. Okay. So much for that. Okay, as you know, I'm Dasha. I don't know if you've heard it, but I'll repeat myself a little bit. I said I have my motivation in life. There are two things. One, to restore the balance between men and women. And I think that will only happen if the world starts to appreciate how great men are. And I know that the women will hunt me down for saying that. And the other thing is a new school system in general. So we learn about things, not just math and English and science, but also about communication and life skills. And this kind of ties in with the NFTs. Now, why do I actually why am I interested in the world of NFTs? Shortly, I've been kind of watching on the sidelines the banking system from the trenches of secretaries. So I've been over 20 years in banking, and I really wanted to see what is behind the finance world, what's really going on, And knowledge is everything, right? But of course, I also need to earn a living. And so we get to the world of NFTs, and I must say what is happening to the world of NFTs, it's really, really great. I really love it. The whole concept of blockchain and everything gives me a lot of hope that we can change something for the better in our world. But what's happening right now in the space of buying NFTs, selling, and the rugging and everything is something very similar that I've been seeing in banking all the time. And of course, it's the greed that keeps on messing with us. So there's the thing that because of all of that, there's the danger that your lovely system of NFTs and blockchain will collapse or is gonna be taken over by the big bad corporations, one or the other, because they have no interest probably that we have the chance to earn ourselves. So basically the good news is that I'm going to try to give you some tools and teach you maybe how to beat that system, the big corporations, how you can actually compete with them. Now, what do successful people do in life? They have knowledge, product knowledge, in this case, for example, the NFTs. They do their research, and they're really good at communication. Now, the knowledge and research, you can just sit back and listen to JB and everything that Cryotech and his company does. He does that research for you, but you shouldn't just take him by the word. Obviously, do your own research. I mean, he will always encourage that, as far as I listen to him myself. And what I really love about the NFT world is that it's actually a space where also artists can actually earn now with games, with anything creative. There's a creative space there. And there's also space for small, normal investors as we are. But the problem is there are no regulations here. Just like banking didn't have regulations for a long time, just so they could, you know, do whatever they wanted. Until, for example, 2008, when everything crashed because of a bubble. And I also think this space is behaving far too much like the stock market. And the worst of all is that the online communication is the main communication that we're using. We don't have the face-to-face. And when you're face-to-face, for example, in corporations, in the office, you have to be very careful how you say something, because otherwise you get fired or you get punched in the face. Online, we don't have that problem, do we? No one's going to punch us in the face, so we dare to say anything we like. And if you've ever watched 2.5 Men, the series, you might have heard the phrase of phone cojones, which means you've only got big balls when you are online, but face-to-face, it's a different thing. So we need to learn to communicate more carefully, better, and how to deal with our emotions. So where is our freaking problem? So the way I see the curse of being human lies in 3 things. First of all, the nature of things, physics, everything goes downhill easier than uphill. So we have the battle of lazy versus effort. Everyone does, even animals do. You know, if you give them the choice not to hunt for food, they won't hunt for food. The second thing is we have emotion and instincts. That's the oldest part, I'm going to say like that. Not necessarily the strongest, but the oldest part that we have. And then we have been given logic and communication, and that's what makes us human. Now, the logic and communication bit is always battling with our emotions. Now, if we look at the demographics, what do we see here? Where emotion wins, and let's say, you know, our ego is hurt, our pride is hurt, and we just punch someone in the face, our emotion is bigger than the logic we are using. And then there's a different demographic, and it will pop into your mind, where people are very sophisticated, they behave, they're civilized, so to say, and they definitely use far more logic in order to keep emotions in check. And this is something we need to learn, to set aside our emotion, our ego, just for a moment, and think before we speak, before we buy, before we do anything in our life. So education, I think, is key about everything. And if I look, I grew up fairly poor, but in a system that enabled everyone the same education. Now, the education everywhere is so uninspired. I don't know if you'll agree with me, but who cares about math and physics and chemistry? Well, I did, but I was one of the few kids that that actually cared about the boring stuff, so to say. But what's the difference between the education that the poorer demographic gets and the richer? Now, in the richer ones, look what they are surrounded with. They are surrounded with parents who have businesses. So they learn about the business from an early age. They learn how to handle money. They see good habits in their parents, and they develop good habits themselves. And hence, they are inspired to get through the classic education, no matter how boring. And the main thing is they also learn how to communicate in a calm manner and think before they speak. So they start their lives on a different level than everyone else. Actually, they have tools in their lives that will propel them to where we want to come, you know, where we want to go. But they put a lot of work as well in all of this, and this is what we forget. Rich people didn't become rich. Understanding and teaching ourselves and our kids all the useful things right now. What is good communication? How do I do my finances? What are my options in life? Some life skills. How to do
And just a little anecdote there. When I'm a uni dropout. Okay, let's just put it out there. But it was still very useful. So I was studying translation for a while, and our professor told us, look, you can go around in your private life saying fuck this and fuck that all the time. Sorry about that. But, when you're then on stage, under pressure, adrenaline going, and you need to translate between two people, do you really think you're going to stop yourself from saying the wrong thing at the wrong time when you're under pressure? So this is why it's so important to actually keep good habits, even in your mind, not just what you say, at all times, basically. So when you are under pressure, you will not break into some bad habits that you've developed. So, communication. How is communication happening? I had this little presentation, actually, which I will put up on my website. And it shows nicely a couple of circles. So imagine you and someone else. What's happening right now, usually online, the way we are communicating, is that we are both pulling, you and I, we are pulling towards ourselves, each in our own direction, as in we want attention, we want to be heard. I wanna, like a little 3-year-old. So that's the usual crappy communications that we have, right? Both wanting attention and no one is listening. Then, where's the solution? The solution is knowing the 3 things that we all need. We all need attention, we all need acknowledgement, we all need appreciation. Write that down. Attention, acknowledgement, appreciation. It's called the 3 A's. Let's call them the 3 A's. So, you have to decide, in short, do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? So basically, is your ego too big to swallow it down, your pride and everything? Or can you manage to be the first to pay attention to someone else? To, for example, really listen. And, that's listening is attention, right? That's the first thing. Then hearing it, really hearing, with our comments that we make, we acknowledge, the empathy. Oh my God, I'm so sorry what you're going through. Nothing else, no solutions. You're not giving anything else, but just listening and acknowledging, oh my God, this is crap what you have to go through. I'm so sorry. This is acknowledging. And then when, afterwards you can say, I'm so grateful, thank you for sharing this and that. That's appreciation. So when the other person feels heard, this is where magic happens. Only when a person feels heard, they will open up and turn around and be ready to hear you as well. I'm sorry if you have to be the first to do that. I do it all the time. For example, if I do something wrong in the office, not me. Actually, it's my boss, yeah? It's my boss who screwed up, and I'm gonna go like, oh, I'm sorry. And it takes it takes all the aggression out of the sails, like the wind out of the sails. He's ready to, have a go at me again, and I go, oh, I'm sorry. But he thinks I'm gonna defend myself. I didn't defend myself. I go, I'm so sorry, da-da-da. And suddenly we have grounds for communication. And he calms down, and then we can talk. And it wasn't my fault even. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. So if we can keep that in mind, to be polite, to keep our egos aside, to stay calm and make decisions before we say anything or before we buy anything, on our research, on our knowledge, based on that, not on our emotion. Our emotion is always messing with us. So we have to really learn. It's an education of emotions. So it's also important what we are thinking about. Do a little exercise with me here, just a little one. Say like, screw this, fuck this, say it out loud. And then say, okay, how can I solve this? So how did you feel with cursing? And how do you feel when you just think like, how can I solve this? So how can I solve if you're cursing or anything like that, it makes you aggressive. It makes you feel emotional, more emotional than you have to be. Nothing against emotions, and we should all, feel them and everything, but we shouldn't exaggerate with them either. So that's all I wanted to say today, basically. Swallow your pride and your ego. So ask yourself, do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? For example, that's for any relationship, really. And then listening, hearing, and thanking. This is how successful communication will work. And especially online, we have to be even more careful how we say things. And if anyone has a bad day and is ranting, don't say anything back. Just listen and I go like, dude, are you okay? Actually, even at home, you have a partner and he's ranting or she's ranting and you actually go like, honey, are you fine? Are you okay? What was happening at your job? And then they kind of wake up and go like, oh yeah, it was crap and I'm sorry and this and that. And you actually listen and they feel heard and they're all happy. And then maybe you even get some that night,
Okay there. So there we have it. Our relationship expert giving you advice and knowledge on how you can get some in a proactive way. I can really dig that. That's really awesome. See, we give you lots of interesting things here, ladies and gentlemen, at this show. It's not just all about crypto. Riffing off of what you said, Dasha, that I've been going through this, and what you said, it has so many correlations with the industry right now. There's one of the things we've discussed quite a bit in previous shows is how do you detect a negative project? And one of the things I've always pointed out is look at how the founders and the teams communicate inside of their Discord. Look at what they permit from the other people in their Discords. Are they allowing people to be aggressive and generally quite bigoted with other people? Are they allowing people to question each other's ignorance when somebody raises a question, or accuse people aggressively of fudding when they're just raising, again, that all-important question? And this happens all the time because, as you can see, people, this stuff ain't rocket science. Any of us can learn this stuff. And this is the other thing, is that so many bad actors know this and think about it more than the rest of us, because generally there's kind of a stigma in society, seemingly, particularly in British society, when you look at how a human operates and then acknowledging that as something that you use in your everyday life. People will try and call you manipulative, but it's not being manipulative, it's just knowing how freaking humans work. We have demonized, to some extent, knowing how each of us operates. And this is it's beautiful because it keeps us all divided and arguing about little things. I'm going to open up the floor for 5 minutes for any does anybody have any questions for Dasha on this stuff, or any examples of experiences themselves in this area?
JB, Rosetta, if you want to come up, I think Rosetta would be the perfect person to add to what Dasha was saying. And Dasha, I have a lot I relate to on that as well. But yeah, Rosetta, pull up.
So Rosetta, if you would like to request the mic, and I will provide you the power of speech. Rosetta hasn't requested the mic. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. And so if Rosetta, you'd like to go next, and then after Rosetta, it would be Derek, who's also requested to speak afterwards as well. Rosetta, you have the floor.
Yeah, peace, everybody. So, yeah, I enjoy what she was saying. I think it's very pertinent, especially what you were just saying too, JB, in the sense of a lot of the spaces that are in Web3 right now, a lot of what's being allowed, a lot of what's being cultivated, it's very toxic, for lack of a better word. It's very limiting. It's very it's a lot of cultural erasure that's happening. It's a lot of sexism, ableism, straight up racism, so it's interesting to see some of the discussions that are occurring around it and some of the solutions. So I'm actually thinking about more things. I'll definitely add in a little bit more later, but I kind of wanted to see where the conversation was going.
Okay, well, no, excellent. I mean, Derek, you have the mic. You're up next.
No, I
was just wanting to chime in and say, thanks for the great words, because, I was just having a conversation with my team today on a project that I'm ambassador for. And, one of the things that we run into all the time is, as our community gets bigger, we have so many different people, so much diverse backgrounds, so many diverse parts of the world, right, coming into the project and being on one stage, so to speak. And constantly run into these issues where we're constantly problem solving or, doing, having to mitigate certain situations and learning when not to jump in and things like that. So I think it was really powerful to hear what Webb Benjamin was saying. I really appreciate that.
No, that's that's a super positive response to Dasha's there. I think that's awesome. What I would say is, in terms of management and leadership, this is all stuff we all need to be really thinking about. The amount of I've managed projects where I'm in charge of teams of only 5 or 10 people to a few hundred. And what Dasha pointed out about how the face-to-face, or what I like to call layer 1 in the real world communication standard, is very different. Because at layer 1, just like Dasha pointed out, people are going to think twice before getting too cheeky with you, especially in a work environment. And let's not get it twisted. All of us, when we go into a Discord, for many of us, if not all of us, this is a form of work. We're looking at this as a way of generating generational wealth. There's not one of us in this room here, or anybody who comes into any of my podcasts, I don't think, who has the kind of income who can look at this as just something where they can afford to lose, 10, 20, 50, or even 200 Ethereum on something. So for us, this is more than just, a 5-minute throwaway thing. So that basically means we also have to make sure we're engaging in non-toxic behaviors, because that toxicity catches quick. It catches so quickly. And I've seen so many projects that really, hit with problems. There's one of my favorite projects at the moment is the Orange Comet Walking Dead project. And the community is amazing. But if you were to look at one of the project leaders, his personality and attitude with people is such that if you were to grade the project on him alone, you would view this project in a really negative way, man. And but luckily for the whole world, a project is not one person, unless you're Do Kwon and you are screwing the ass out of Luna, of course. But that's a whole other thing we're going to discuss next. Before we get onto that travesty, where we're going to have our news segment, I would like to introduce LilDAOS. Guys, you have the floor now. You can, tell us all about it. I noticed you got the word DAO in there, which is a big clue. Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Lay it on us.
JB, man, thank you first and foremost for having us on your platform. It means a lot. And when I say us, I speak of the LilDAO family and everyone who contributes to us being dope. Dasher, you nailed it. I'm from Philadelphia, and JB, if you want to throw up the photo, and for those who don't know, JB will have this on YouTube live, like pre-recorded live, so you can kind of tap in and see what everyone's talking about. So long story short, you show up in the real world with a different perspective on how you talk to people, and that's a fact. And being from a low income area, a lot of stuff that flies on social media you wouldn't be able to do in the real world till this day. Shit hits different, like literally and figuratively, in the real world. So I think, being in this Twitter world and social media world, I really had to learn, like, I have to take my emotions out of it, because I would be in jail. I would be in jail or dead just because, how I would act in real life. So, I think it's important, to educate people. Like, I had to learn how to conduct myself on social media, and so does a lot of other people in this world. And I think the need of HR department. Web3 is going to be essential. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's going to be hard to be able to, you know, manage how people act on the web, but I think it's something that's needed. So Dasha, you was speaking you speaking to my heart there. You know, it's just communication is key, and that's one thing that, you know, I really push in my project is, you know, if I fuck up, I'm going to let you know. I have nothing to hide. I'm transparent. I'm going to show up how I show up in real life. And if you don't like that, then you don't need to be with me. You don't need to be around me, and I don't need to be around you if I can't show up as my true, authentic self. So that spoke volumes to me. Okay, a little bit about a little bit about LilDAOS. Education. Like I said, I grew up in Philadelphia and Wilmington, Delaware. Cities are roughly like 15 minutes apart from each other. I split, you know, homes between my father and my mother and my grandmother. So I was single parent household for most of the time of my life and my upbringing. And I consider myself a unicorn. I made it from two of the toughest cities on the East Coast. Wow. And I did it by being genuine to who I was and having love, you know, because if I didn't go home every day and, you know, there wasn't love in my household, I probably would have been dead by now. You know what I'm saying? So communicating that love is very, very, very important, because, you know, if you love someone, you will want to see the best for them. And part of LilDAOS is for the kids. It's for my family. It's for my people that get left out of these high-level alpha conversations on Twitter, which is corny as fuck, because it's just like, y'all are trying to bring this exclusivity to the digital world, which is fine in its own way, but y'all are leaving out a lot of people. And then you'll have a nerve to talk bad about people's projects openly, but what you guys do on the alpha level is far, far worse than what people are going through. And I say that to say, because the homie Jonathan, I think he was on here a minute ago, but he posted, you know, that he copped a couple LilDAOs and it's for the kids, and, you know, the project is great. And somebody commented on his picture and his tweet, and they basically said, I don't think educating the youth on unsound investments, aka crypto, NFTs, is the right thing to do. And this was a white gentleman, and it's like, dude, like, why, when someone black or aboriginal of color try to educate their people to not get left behind, it turns into that might not be a good thing to do. So it's just like, it's stuff like that where, like you say, if someone's acting out, I tend to not even address it, you know, because one, you can't touch that person in real life, you know, and then two, like, you just stir up some energy that can spiral out of control on social media level. So, you know, it's things like that where, coming from where I'm coming from, every little bit helps, regardless if it's a lunch. I remember going to school some days and I couldn't afford lunch. I couldn't eat lunch, right? Because we were poor, and, you know, you had to pay like $2.50 or something to eat lunch at a fucking public school. So, you know, every little bit helps, and the education piece is very important. And my purpose with LilDAOS is to make sure my people don't get left out of this. This is generational wealth that's been happening amongst all of the BS that's going on politically, financially, right? At the end of the day, the people at the low end of the spectrum will always get hurt the most. They always, it's just like shit thrown on top of shit. Yeah. And I can only speak from where I'm from and my experiences and what I have achieved and accomplished. And it's something that is dear to my heart, to be able to educate people that need the help.
Wow.
So, before I keep going on, do you want to
Can I ask
direct? Yes.
What do you educate people about?
Perfect. I educate people based off of my experience, my life experience. And with that being said, I am an all-around creative. I've worked in life insurance. I was a guard. I was an auto technician. I was a salesman, right? So being from the inner city, you learn to hustle, right? And I've worked many different careers, and of which that have been helpful for me to be in a position that I'm in to share my experiences. So in particular with the NFT project, I am sharing my experiences on cryptocurrencies, DAOs, decentralized finance, and creating NFTs, all of which I've done on my own with my own project. So let's rewind. So how I got into NFTs, I was watching there's two podcasts on YouTube. I guess you can call them podcasts, but 2 shows on YouTube that I've been watching since 2012 when the world was supposed to end. Did y'all get that news, JB, that the world was going to end in 2012?
Yeah, we all got the news. The Mayan calendar was way off. I mean, unless you call Trump and Boris Johnson getting into power as the end of the world, which it kind of was. It was the end of their world, that whole consumer capitalist paradigm. But sorry, you got me started there, man. You got me started. Sorry.
And that's the beautiful thing of, you know, the world of politics, right? And just the dynamic of the shit that we live in, right? It's all perspective on how we see things. I always when I'm around a group of students or just talking to people, I always use this, like, we can be sitting in a car or at a cafe together and witness either a robbery or a car accident. Depending on where you are, how you feeling, you know, if you can hear, if you can't hear, the same crime or incident is going to look different in each other's eyes. And that's okay. And that's how the world should be. It's okay if people see things differently. I don't want to be around a whole bunch of people that agree with me all the time. You know, that shit's corny. Like, that's just like the whack rapper that is terrible, but all his friends is like, yo, that shit's fire. And it's just like, that shit's fabricated. It's like social media.
Oh, so that's like every mumble rapper in creation, basically.
Exactly. Some people love it and some people don't, but I think the authenticity is important and part of communication and building with people. So where I was going with that was the world ended, and I started to really invest some time into YouTube, and I came across 2 channels, Black Magic 363, he's from New York, and Red and Blue Pill, and KT the Arch Degree. They're all from New York. They're brothers, and Black Magic basically interviewed them. And at that time, it was right around the Trayvon Martin and situation and the rise of BLM and everything, right? So I really invested some time into, you know, their channel. I've been supporting them since 2012. Fast forward to 2017, which is interesting. The timeline of when Trump went to physically go, he went to go audit the FBI, the rise of cryptocurrency started to break through. So I kind of thought that timeline was kind of interesting in itself. So that's when I kind of started to like pay attention to the crypto market. And a good friend of mine, he's a programmer. He works out of DC. He kind of put me onto XRP way back when. So, you know, I followed XRP. At that time, I didn't really know how to buy it. I just knew it existed, you know, so on and so forth. And then 2019 hit, or when was the rise of Dogecoin? Was that 21 or 20? I can't remember exactly.
It was about 20, and then it was 21 when Elon Musk started to market manipulate the crap out of it.
Yeah, okay. So I was watching one of their shows on YouTube. It was like November 2020, yeah. And the time, I thought buying cryptocurrency on Robinhood was the look. So I didn't understand about, DeFi dexes and whatnot. And so I invested, maybe $300 into Dogecoin, but it was already pumped at that point, right? And then that summer of 2020, after the whole beginning of the year looking like a disaster shit show, right? Which was also, I think, was a distraction. I don't know if anyone else kind of felt that, like, the energy that we was paying attention to, like stuff in the media, kind of took away from watching this crypto shit blow up. And that's how I saw it. I was like, damn, if I wasn't busy worrying about conspiracy theories and watching the insurrection, quote unquote, right, I could have been loading my fucking bags up on cryptocurrency. I missed the whole wave, and a lot of people did.
Here's just, I'm going to just interject one, just that wave while the rest of us were watching this. Do you know what 27 of the world's most richest founders were doing at the time? They were cashing in all of their stock and equity and dumping out the financial market in one hit. They all sold all of their companies. In fact, this became such a noticeable thing. It was even discussed in the New York Times why these 27 founders decided to dump out just before that period.
And speaking on that, wasn't that around the time Bezos and them was leaving their companies? They were stepping down, right?
Yep.
So this is the shit that gets me excited, because it's like, one hand washes the other. While we are focused on this, the real shit is happening behind the scene. And for my people, sadly, like, we are consumers and we are distracted by the culture. And it's, not to go off on a whole different tangent on the entertainment industry, it's kind of fucked up because they will promote us robbing and killing and stealing and dealing drugs, and they promote that. But when it comes to education and helping our people, that shit will never be a thing. So going back to my, entry into cryptocurrency, I invested in that summer 2021, and I was just getting burned left and right. I was in all types of Telegram groups. I was buying shit coins. I lost a lot of money, and I was rug pulled a lot, right? So it wasn't until like the fall of 20 where I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to get serious, and I'm going to learn about this cryptography of, DeFi and NFTs. And, I started watching Gary Vee, and I like him because he talks shit. He's from the East Coast. That's my type of vibe. Like, that's how we move. We're movers and shakers. And he made it make sense on what NFTs were. And going back to my first project I created was called DeFi Kicks, right? DeFi Kicks was essentially me selling my sneaker collection in the NFT world. But I didn't understand the process of creating and selling NFTs. So I went about it all wrong. But it was a good trial and error and a good experience to be able to get to the point where I'm at now. So that's how I got into cryptocurrency and NFTs. And the whole purpose of LilDAOS is to educate and onboard underprivileged people. And sometimes it's not even underprivileged people. It's people that just aren't aware of the current state of the market. And, I want to reach out to the people who still don't know what a non-custodial wallet is. And what the difference is between centralized and decentralized. So very grassroots education that helps people understand the basics. That's the purpose of LilDAOS, and it's to start within the families and people to be able to exchange their own crypto token within their own family. I created my own token for my family to be able to educate my son on the difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet. And it's just, this is what is essential and needed for my people and other people around the world. And it's our project is I don't even care that the artwork is cool. Like I said, I done the whole project. I coded the project. I built the smart contract. I built the website. I built the minting app. I built the damn Discord. I wear a lot of hats, but I feel like the best education comes from experience. And I want to be able to give it up to my people the best way I know how to do it.
And the people thank you.
I've always, you know what, Dash, I've always been like a bridge, you know, even coming from humbling beginnings, I always got self-actualization, being able to help people out, like help people get to their next level, right? And, you know, that's always been, you know, in my heart. And I've been passionate to see people grow. And, you know, people walk over you and they don't ever look back and pay homage. And that's one thing I had to learn. But I know with this, you know, financial literacy, being able to help other people, like even help myself understand financial literacy, because that's one thing that wasn't expressed in my household. My mom used to race cars. She used to be a stripper, right? My mom was a hustler, like, you know, so for her, financial literacy was like, we're going to make this bread and we're going to spend it and we're going to enjoy it. We don't give a fuck about tomorrow, because being in Philly and in Wilmington, Delaware, you might not make it till tomorrow. You know, for me to go to school in the morning, I used to have to look outside first to see what drug dealer is out there. If I know Troy is out there, I know he's about to get busy, so I might not want to go stand at the bus stop because I know he's reckless. Like, that's the type shit I had to grow up with. So I think, you know, being able to share your experiences and not make it so alpha bullcrap and stop being a gatekeeper. It's so much money out here that everyone can do well. And I feel like looking at some of these blue chip projects, it's like, oh nah, like it's kind of like Nike. Like I split part of my time here in Portland, Oregon. So I know the Nike culture. I know people who work there, and that shit mad cliquish, right? It doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that when you can buy fake Nikes from a small shop in Asia somewhere and get the same quality. Why are y'all so fucking bougie? You know what I mean? So it's just like stuff like that is like the barriers of in my project and the circle of influence of people that I'm with. I don't want people that are bougie. Like, reach one, teach one. You buy a little DAO, you buy 2 little DAOs, you give another one to someone else. You show them how to set up a wallet. You show them how to mint. You show them how to buy on the secondary market. That's the type time I'm on for my project and where I want to stand in this space.
That's amazing.
Wow, that is freaking awesome. Oh God.
JB, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. The app just goes really mental with my fat fingers on the screen. Yeah, well, I was going to say thank you very much for that synopsis. That's incredibly cool and very interesting. Education is key, and that brings me to my next point. I mean, I think it'd be very cool. Maybe we should actually put our heads together, actually, and work out like a, I don't know, 5-lecture course, perhaps, that we can distribute freely out there for everybody, covering the basic things like hot wallet, cold wallets, cold storage, how to trace on Etherscan and SolScan, what is the difference between testnet and mainnet, what's the difference between ROPSnet, etc. All of these different things. Teach people what some of these frickin' acronyms mean, which are popping up all over the place. And it's at this point that we go to the news feature, because I'm really acutely aware of time, so I'm going to not keep everybody here, but I just wanted to cover something off very quickly, which links into both of what you were talking about, especially when you're talking about the bougification and the alpha control of the sector. Now, there is no bigger alpha control of the sector than the Bored Apes Yacht Club themselves. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Yuga Labs. You gotta love Yuga Labs. They've managed to turn Nazi ideology into a multi-billion-dollar blue chip. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out Ryder Rips and GordonGordon.com and the investigatory amazingness that they have uncovered there in terms of the symbology and the culture that is being built up around Yuga Labs properties. But what I want to refer you to is very specifically is something that Yuga Labs have said. And I'm going to raise this and ask people what they think it means. So in NFT Evening, this quote was stated. What's more, the creators also made the following remarks regarding the future visions of Bored Ape Yacht Clubs. Bear in mind, the Bored Ape Yacht Club is the #1 blue chip property right now. These two quotes from them. We see ourselves as temporary flight attendants of IP, which is in the process of becoming more and more decentralized. Our ambition is for this to be a community-owned brand with tentacles in world-class gaming events and streetwear. We think there's still much work to do, so we can ensure that we hand over to the community in as strong a position as it can be. Let's think about this a couple of seconds. This is Yuga Labs, who effectively paid somebody on Freelancer to do a smart contract for them so efficient that it broke Ethereum and led to a gas war, leading to gas prices in excess of $10,000, $20,000 in some cases. This is also they then went on to blame, not themselves, for their inefficient coding. No, that'd be too grown up and too mature and too accountable. No, they blame the founder and creator of Ethereum. And this led them to say, you know what, screw it, we don't like this, we're going to go and create our rich people's blockchain just for rich people and rich assets. Yay! And then bear in mind, this is also coming from the very same Yuga Labs, which for all those people who actually minted and bought a Bored Ape, found out that you could mint near infinite quantities of them. That has now since been removed, but it was still there originally. It should also be noted that with Bored Apes Yacht Club's assets, there is no way of trading them without giving Yuga Labs significant amounts of money. Not only have they created a culture and environment that's become extremely exploitative and gives the entirety of Web 3.0 a bad name, because it's making us look like exactly the same cultural paradigm as consumer capitalist based Web 2.0. It is also having a cultural shift effect. Just like you were talking about education, when you're actually trying to discuss things with Yuga Labs or anybody at Yuga Labs, they will shut down the conversation very quickly. There is no room for discussion with these people at all. Bear in mind, they got hacked recently. Their Discord was hacked very publicly, and they lost 200 Ethereum worth of content. Yeah. And then what did they do? Did they blame themselves and their inability to set up 2FA and to disable links inside of Discord chat? No. They blamed Discord, saying that Discord was crap and it should be rebuilt and it wasn't fit for service in the Web 3.0 world. So this is what we do when we're an alpha blue chip, ladies and gentlemen. We blame our tools because, we're great workmen, aren't we? We're so good that it's our tools that will fail us. In case people are tone deficient, I am being completely sarcastic when I say this. Now, this also brings us to the next item, which is, I've mentioned it a lot, Do Kwon, Terra, and Luna. And in the latest news of Do Kwon, it has been confirmed the SEC is now investigating Do Kwon, Terra, Luna, the foundation, and pretty much every company that's involved in it. And they're also investigating all of the coins which are associated with the Terra Luna platform. So that means, yes, it means the Mirror Protocol and stuff like that. We're looking at in excess of a $37 billion defraud here. This is going to be big. I mean, part of the reason we're seeing so many repercussions in the market right now is actually because of the Terra Luna scam, effectively. And this is what leads us to what is happening now. A lot of people are calling what we have happening now a crypto winter. And I'm going to put my hand up right in the air and say that the crypto winter narrative is a pretty shitty narrative to build an excuse for cyclic, exploitative market behaviors. By all of us standing there saying, you know what, it's this cycle, every bubble bursts. Yes, bubbles burst when they're exploited or when they're based on a form of exploitation. So normalizing market growth, rapid expansion, and then explosion and dissipation is not a good thing to be doing, ladies and gentlemen. We should actually all be asking the question of why? I mean, it's not a crypto winter. This is a straight up burst. I'm going to label it the burst. And we need it. Let's be frank. We need this to happen. Bear in mind, for those of us who are old enough, who still remember the Web 2.0 era, I'm a child of the 1980s. If anybody else, children of the 1980s, stick a hand up so we can see how many of us are in here today. That gives me an idea of the age range. we'll have noticed that Web 2.0 was the wild, wild west of spam and exploitative abusive systems and telephone scamming. And then it required massive regulation to become the sustainable industry that it is now. Well, sort of sustainable, as long as you classify exploitation of personal data as sustainable. But this also brings us to the next point. Web 2.0 is based on the sovereignty of third parties. Web 3.0 is based on personal sovereignty, i.e. we all have to get a better education, ladies and gentlemen, because all of a sudden we have become that third party. We now all have individually massive responsibility because we have to be educated enough to know, A, not just our personal physical selves, and that, which, bear in mind, there are people who are 60 and 70 who still claim they don't know themselves. We also need to know implicitly our digital selves. We need to know what our digital footprint is. And we also need to know what the repercussions are of our digital footprint on other people and vice versa. I mean, bear in mind, how many people here realize that if you live with somebody for over 5 years in the United Kingdom, your credit record is actually attached to that person. So even if you split up, that person can negatively influence your credit record years after. So many little idiosyncrasies in how this world operates, which people really just are not bothering to learn and are not being taught. So again, I really fall on the side of education. We need that more than anything else. But like you were saying, there's a reason why the alphas act the way they do, why the blue chips behave the way they do. Because if all of us get educated, not one of us will be buying into their crap. I mean, seriously, if lots of people were educated enough to realize and spot all of the Nazi, racist, xenophobic and anti-Semitic symbology that is actively drawn into the Bored Apes Yacht Club images, nobody would be buying them. People would be too ashamed to own them, as opposed to, wearing them on NFT necklaces along with their Pokemon frickin' trading cards. There would be a sense of shame about the interaction. So what do we do with this? Well, we have to educate, and we also have to adopt a willingness to learn. Because how many of us out in this room have come up against people where no matter how pleasant, no matter how hard we try, there is no interest whatsoever in them. They have no interest in trying to take on board your point of view. Because like you pointed out, everything in this world is subjective and objective. There is always going to be a different point of view. And all we're trying to do when we communicate is trying to find that compromise point of commonality. We're trying to share the illusion of reality, if you will, a shared base truth. But that never happens if we are all so emotionally angry with each other and the world around us that we cannot get into that position in the first place. Okay, so again, conscious of the time, so I'm just going to very quickly switch to the next segment, which is my favorite projects. And well, normally I'd play a little tune at this point. So my favorite projects right now is, yes, LilDAOS. You made it onto my favorites list this week. Why? Because I love the education component. I really do. We need a lot more of that in this sector, and the fact that you're also very consciously aware of, if you fuck up, you intend to own it. That is huge for me. Accountability and self-ownership. These are huge things. Maybe if Do Kwon's attitude was a bit more kind of like, you know what, guys, I'm really sorry you're all committing suicide because I removed 22 billion from the liquidity pool. I really wish I hadn't done it and I'll do better. Maybe, just maybe, people wouldn't be so pissed at him. You know what? It's highly unlikely, to be honest. That guy's screwed whichever way you cut it. But that is not the point. There's always that possibility. So LilDAOS is on my top top 3 list at the moment. My top 3 favorites, and most definitely a project to watch and keep an eye on. In terms of accountability and transparency, they haven't sponsored the show, ladies and gentlemen, but LilDAOS have given me 2 tokens which I can use to mint for free. That does not in any shape or way influence my decision making, actually, because that's why I invited them on the show, so we can ask them questions and actually find out what they're all about. My decision making is based on what they've said and how they've behaved thus far, and from my own research online. Bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, irrelevant of what I say, do all your own research. Yeah, for the love of the frickin' gods, do some. So that's number 1, LilDAOS. Keep an eye on it. Then my next favorite in that list would be, we're going to have to name it again. It is orange. It will be the Orange Comet Walking Dead. Yes, I know I spoke about how one of the guys on there does seem to have all of the pleasantness of Hannibal Lecter on a particularly bad day. You know, he's eating you for lunch as an example. But other than that, the project is not one person. The community is really good. The artwork is some of the best you'll ever freaking see anywhere out there on the market right now in terms of 3D. They have a game that is coming out, and they are play to earn, ladies and gentlemen. Not that bullshit stake to earn, but actual play to earn as a game is coming. It's very interesting. Their roadmap is released on the 15th of this month. Check it out, because as we all know, a project that has lots of things happening with no clearly defined roadmap is ultimately what? Yes, that's right. You can smell it in the air. Bullshit. But these guys, they've got a roadmap and they've been working on it really hard for quite a long time. And based on what they've already delivered, it seems interesting. If you check my Twitter, you will already know that in the past I've been hypercritical with them when I've needed to be, and they have responded, which is also another good sign. They take the criticism on the chin and they do something. They'll have a grumble about it, but they'll do something about it, which means, yes, that is definitely a project to check out and keep an eye on. By the way, as I said, 15th of this month, check out their roadmap. Some seriously big things coming on that project. Then my next favorite project is the High Apes Club. The High Apes Club, which is one where I've met so many people. It's fairly basic. It's an ape NFT, but they're all stoned, and the artwork is pixelated and super cute. It doesn't have much utility right now, but it is gaining utility. It is getting prepared for a relaunch on, that's right, our favorite network, Solana. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, Solana, whoop whoop! Solana, the one, perhaps I know people are saying there's issues with it, it gets turned off, it's unstable, but let us face facts. It has 68,000 transactions per second processing speed, and when you're trying to build something like the Voix token, which is what I'm building, which leads to universal basic income and user-to-user payments, you need the fastest transaction processing speed available on sorry Ethereum. That just ain't you. Even with the merge, your TPS only goes up to 30 for crying out loud. I mean, like, what is that? I drink my coffee quicker than that. So, High Apes Club, check out their Discord. They are a very good community. They're a little bit quiet at the moment because the founders, Dakush and 420J, are actually working on the relaunch. They have also already prior finished off 2 other projects successfully. So there is a long remunerative body of work to prove what they have done previously and the likelihood of them finishing and continuing. So the High Apes Club, give that one a whirl. Now, another one, my 4th one, and the reason it's dropped to the bottom is because I have such a love-hate relationship with this. It's called Supremacy. Supremacy is it's a game that's on the blockchain, made in Unreal 4.5. You buy amazing mechs that look like something out of Gundam. They fight each other using AI. You can watch it. It's amazing. You can bet on it. And that's also the problem with it. It is right now in its current form, it is incredibly exploitative. And if you are dumb enough to spend any money on it, you're going to lose money quicker than, I don't know, butterflies flapping out of Madonna's vagina. Which, by the way, there's apparently an actual NFT of now. Who would have thunk it? The reason I mention Supremacy is because when I've challenged them and had discussions with them and pointed out the negative components of their tokenomics, they have actually listened and they have actually taken it on board. There are some huge things coming, like proof of work play to earn capability, where you'll be doing proof of work tasks on a mobile phone, which then acts as part of this resource gathering component. So there is a play to earn component or a proof of work to earn component coming to Supremacy. But right now, don't be spunking your cash in it, because it's literally just the same feeling and mechanics as playing roulette or blackjack at this point. The reason I mention it is because the team is incredibly talented, very proactive, and they listen to criticism. They don't like criticism, but they actually listen to it. And by the way, guys, those of you who are regulars on this show will know that, I could probably get kicked out of these platforms fairly quickly, but they listen to me. It's good. When people are listening, you feel heard. It's a whole thing. Just like Dasha was saying, they made me feel heard. They actually did. They actually did remedial actions. Bish bash bosh, super cool. So at this point, now we've discussed all that, we can, just to wrap up, because I'm consciously aware we're at that magic hour, we've hit that magic hour component. Has anybody got any questions they would like to ask the founders and team from LilDAOS or Dasha themselves? Any questions and anything to ask? And feel free to request the mic if you've not spoken already. While we're waiting for people to put their hands up, don't be afraid, people. We don't eat you alive here. We're not the British royal family. Dasha, do you want to tell us about your book?
Oh my goodness. There's so much to share, like about love, for example. What is love? Because, this has been mentioned now before. And I wanted to interject, like, what is love to you? Because the definition is so simple. Love is effort, right? The thing that we are all so afraid of, the freaking effort in life, getting up, making coffee, being patient with each other, supporting each other. This is love. Not what you feel, not what you think, not the butterflies, not what's happening between your legs, but actually the efforts that we make for each other. And so basically, my book actually is a summation of everything I have learned to get me from the state of being suicidal until I was almost 40 still, and still ending up in bad relationships. And one day I asked myself, for crying out loud, what am I doing wrong? What is there still that I have to change? And even though I've been in therapy and lots has changed in my 30s, and I was almost 40 and still ending up in horrendous relationships. And then the answer was finally Googling the whole thing, right? And I was like, okay, boundaries. Okay, so I learned to trust a little bit more, open up, appreciate men, but I didn't learn about boundaries. And then I thought, like, oh dear Lord, actually I should have learned about boundaries first and then about opening up to others and trying to trust. Of course, I mean, duh. And someone very special suggested, like, why don't you put this in the book? The way you can explain it is great. And I said, well, I actually learned all this from other books and finally managed to turn things around. But no one has put every aspect of relationships into one book, for example, and that's what I tried to do. So I kind of combined everything I've learned and referenced also all the books that I think are fantastic. Like my favorite one from Jonathan Robinson is Communication Miracles for Couples. It's a small book, but it's fantastic. It's so practical. I mean, buy it, seriously. I'm promoting his book more than mine, haha. But I learned a lot from that, and I use it every day in my relationship, at home or at work, and it works. It's beautiful. It's so simple, really. Everything I discussed today, and most of it actually is from that book. And my own book kind of combines all that. What is love? It's effort, How do you improve yourself, for example, about boundaries, about everything. And with some of my own experiences. And I think it's quite fun to read, I hope. So far, comments were very positive. So happy to discuss these things maybe on another show, or you just buy the book and have a look yourself.
Wow, thank you very much. Derek, I noticed you had the mic. There you go. The floor is yours.
Hey, man, thanks for bringing it back up. I just wanted to get that list from you again. I'm already an investor in the LilDAOS, but I wanted to get the other projects from you. I was driving when you were listening.
Oh, okay. So LilDAOS, #1. Then we have Orange Comet, The Walking Dead. I mean, this thing. I mean, just to give you a little taster, you have a walker pass, you get access to exclusive free airdrops, you get early access to public drops, you get access to real life events like the rap party that's happening in Los Angeles for the Walking Dead series, which is going to be happening sometime in August, I believe. Walker pass holders get to go to it and schmooze with the stars. It is a super interesting project. And by the way, Derek, if you're going to check out The Walking Dead, not that I'm giving any form of investment advice whatsoever, because I just do not do that bullshit. Their roadmap is coming out, so if you could do anything, do it before the roadmap comes out, because that price on the Walker Pass is about to jump when that roadmap gets released and people start realizing what the hell this thing is all about. Just thought I'd give you a little inside track. Join me on the Discord. I'm a very active person on that Discord. By the way, I use my real name on Discord as well, JB Benjamin, because I'm all about the self-docs. Be public, be out there.
Agreed, 100%.
And the next one...
There was a couple other ones, right?
Yes. The other one is the High Apes Club. That is at the moment spinning up for a relaunch on Solana. That was a previous... They've already done they did a stoned crypto funks thing. They did their own stoned apes one, both of which are on the Ethereum network, and they're getting ready to do something new on the Solana network next. Then after that, so that's the High Apes Club. Join me on the Discord. I'm super active on that. By the way, High Apes Club, those guys, their artwork is so awesome. They actually created a Vox special edition ape that some whale bought, but the damn guy doesn't get involved in communications, because I want that bloody NFT, because it's a Vox special edition. They even named the afro, the JB afro, as a trait, for crying out loud. That's mine! So then the next one is Supremacy. Now, as I said, Supremacy is super pretty. As soon as you see these mechs, I mean, there are 3 factions, and I'm a member of the Zaibatsu faction. Those of us who remember GTA will remember Maibatsu. So Zaibatsu have the coolest looking bots. They look like Gundams. They look like something out of Evangelion. If you're into that stuff, and I most definitely am, they will really hit your buttons. So they basically... Your bots, you queue them, the bots then come out and play, fight each other, and members of the public or members of your faction can then throw money, or subs, which is actually money, at supporting your bot in battle by providing things like repair kits or nukes, yada yada yada. As you can see, just hearing that mechanic, you can realize to yourself how quickly you would spunk some cash on this. As I said, it's one to watch. Keep an eye on it. It is one that I can predict in the future the SEC are going to be all over, because it is functionally, proper Las Vegas style gambling. I mean, the future of Supremacy could be as the premier massive sporting event that you end up, that people actually, that gets eventually legitimized actually as a gambling thing. Seriously, check it out. And the ecosystem they're building is pretty ambitious, and they have the tech guys to do it. So it's definitely worth a shout.
Definitely appreciate that, man.
Oh, that's okay.
How do I get other projects on your scope, to look at?
Oh, okay. So I say this on my Twitter and I say it on my YouTube as well. Send me stuff. Everybody, just send. I'm going to be launching a new wallet. So I'm going to be launching a show wallet. If people have got shit coins, fucking meme coins, any form of collection that they want to donate or show, anything that goes into that show wallet will get reviewed in the show and then handed out as prizes. So in the meantime, until I create that though, just send me a link or just DM me, man. I'm actually sod the DM. I don't do the direct message. Stay public. Just put it out there on the thread so everybody can see it, because as I said, this is about leading by example, unless we're talking about, I don't know, seriously proprietary stuff, which, I mean, bear in mind, I run Cryotech, which is a cybersecurity company, and I have another company which does volumetric scanning your service. So believe me, I handle a lot of proprietary IP stuff. Unless it's that, there is no need for it. It's just unnecessary, So with that, I am going to wrap up now. If anybody has a question or wants to speak, while I'm wrapping up, put your hands up, or forever hold thy peace until the next show. And I would like to submit. Okay, we got LilDAOS. Wow, that was quick. Yes, your hand is up. You have the calm.
Nah, JB, I fuck with you, bro. I appreciate you. I truly appreciate you just keeping it raw, uncut, and I think there will be a place for people like you and I and people who support what we both do. And I think, like you said, it's coming down to ownership. It's about to look like the Hunger Games out this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the one thing that blows my mind, and I'll leave on this, is we have the opportunity to create our own currency right now. I don't think people understand how important that is, right? If you think about the financial, engine going fully digital, you create your own fucking token, you build value in your own community and project. that is bartering digitally, right? So, you know, if you own a little DAO and you got a little bread token, right, this is going to correlate things you can get and buy in real life with our project. So when we have our educational workshops, you're going to have a little bread token to pay for it. So I think people really have to sit down with themselves and say, and just think about and see what's going on. Inflation's up. The political parties, you can't trust them. Black people are still getting gunned down. People are still getting gunned down.
Yeah.
Right? You have to build your community and for your people, for us, by us. Whether if whatever race you are, you need to look at it as like, I need to be around people that are my people. So thanks again, JB. Dasher, I connected with you on Twitter. Feel free to shoot me.
Thank you.
Shoot me your wallet address so I can DM you, gift you 2 little DAOs. And shout out to my family who pulled up. Like,
thank you.
You know, Metamoo, Kid Dynamite, everyone. Mad Scientist too. I really like this dude. He's weird, and I haven't fully sat down and talked to him, but I would love to like connect with you. But thank you, everyone who pulled up.
Well, I mean, what you just said there is something that is the primary reason why the alpha blue chips and everybody like the banking system are all trying to tell the rest of us that NFTs and crypto are a bad option, because they know the power of this stuff. They've seen it coming a mile away. The power in this is exactly what you just described. The fact that we are sovereign and we can create our own communities that, if anything, could theoretically completely decouple from the rest of consumer capitalist society and form their entirely own ecosystems, which are interoperable with other people's ecosystems. This terrifies the conventional banking world, because the conventional banking world dies as soon as they are removed as the middlemen, transaction processors. And that's the reason why they're always going to say to us about how we shouldn't be educating each other on this. They're always going to be saying to us about how we should ignore it. Oh my God, yeah, it's a scam. Yeah, of course it is, because they're involved at the end of the day. They just want to keep this is like, it's just about keeping the good shit for themselves. Bear in mind, if you look at 90% of all the world's wealth is gathered in the hands of 5 people. Yeah? 5 people in the entire freaking world, and not one of them is black, Hispanic, or mixed race. It says a lot about why the certain groups of people would want us to view personal sovereignty as a bad idea. But then look at what else is happening in the market. Salesforce, which is owned by Deloitte, one of the biggest companies in the freaking world, has just now created Salesforce Cloud NFT. There is no bigger signal than that NFTs and the blockchain is very much here to stay, because Salesforce, there's no way in a million years Salesforce would be playing with it. If there was no value in this to the, standard consumer capitalist model, Salesforce, i.e. Deloitte, would not be touching it. So the biggest way to look at the viability of anything is to look at who the big players are and which way they're shifting. And then we have to spread the word. Just like you said, we've got to spread the word and educate each other. You know what? It'd be great to do a series of shows with LilDAOS, actually, where we do like 10-15 minute stings just on various things, like specifically FOMO, cold wallets, and how to check these different things out.
I love that, bro. I mean, you are my brother. You are my type of guy mentally, and you are about action. And that's another thing. Like, a lot of people talk about all this bullshit, but what's the action behind it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you, bro. Like, let's build and let's do it. I got my homie Daniel. He was here a bit earlier, but he's been helping me because I'm dyslexic. Like, I can barely spell, my pronunciation. See, I can barely speak, but I show up how I show up, and I deliver. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be around people who are on that same wavelength. And like, I don't own a blue chip. I give 2 shits about it, because I would just sell it anyway. I wouldn't be repping it. I wouldn't turn it into a PFP, right? I would sell that shit and bring it back to me and my family and my community.
Hell yeah!
But yes, let's do it, JB. I love you. I love
Thanks,
the energy. I love what you're doing, and I want to be able to support the things that you are building as well. So anyone that owns a LilDAO, JB is in our family. He is an owner. He is a supporter.
Thanks, man.
Be sure. I look forward to tapping in with you to build with you, bro.
Well, just like you said, it's all about those next steps. So let's set some next steps for this, like some actual actions. So after this, hit me up on Discord. Let's set a date for a meeting next week, preferably around Monday and Tuesday. That's good for me. And we will organize this, and then we'll get something out there next week. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's keep that energy going. Well, I'd like to first of all, thank you, my guests. We got LilDAOS, and I would like to thank Dasha Schindler. And I'm also going to lay one extra surprise on everybody in case anybody hadn't noticed it. Now, surely I would assume the watchful amongst you would have noticed that Dasha appears as both Dasha Schindler and Dasha Webb Benjamin. And there's a reason for that, because that's my wife. Yes. One of those things out there is if you're going to be a successful person, you surround yourself with successful people as well. And that's my wife, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dasha, for...
You're very welcome, darling. He didn't surround himself with successful people. I wasn't successful. We made each other successful by being together and trying to understand how relationships work and make it work. And we actually have a contract.
Yes.
Just like in the Big Bang Theory. And currently it's just amazing. It keeps me in check. I wanted a contract, not so much for my partner to behave, but for myself to behave. Because I know I can become a bitch, and it's just like, you need that, right? We all need that whip behind us. For me, I keep my promises, so a contract for me is a strong thing, and it works. After 5 years, it's only become better. And I've developed those relationship muscles that we all need. So those good habits, the muscle memory. If you develop those relationship muscles, those good habits of being patient and listening to each other and supporting and all that, I'm not going to say crap. That's an amazing thing. And appreciate your men. So here's the little secret for at the end of the day. Appreciate your men. Yeah, and give him some space, and you'll be golden, we women. And you guys, if you want to get some more of that sweet, sweet loving, you have got to give us a little bit more attention. Not much, really not much. Like, literally, but it needs to be what she needs. If that's bringing out the trash, if that's touching her on her back or kissing her when you pass by, or something little, whatever it is that she needs, ask her, give that to her. We just need a little bit of attention, and because we all need that attention, we all need the appreciation, just in a different amount. That's why the communication on Discord and online and in NFTs is so bad, because we all were craving attention when we were little. We didn't get it, and now we're all screaming for it, in different ways, some aggressively, some whining, and well, I don't know how to fix it other than simply by listening, acknowledging, and hopefully one day the others can actually stop the aggressive behavior and actually communicate normally with us. So we have to learn that, so we are a strong community and actually win the battle of our world, that this is our world, not of the banks, not of someone else. This is ours to stay.
Hell yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. At the end of the day, this world belongs to us. We are the consumers, effectively, and this belongs to us. And this is...
creators this time, right? Creators and consumers.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, creators and consumers. I see a hand has gone up. Yes, go for it.
I just want to shout out the homies over at Ohnahji. I think we should agree and just do it together, y'all.
In fact, I see we got Ohnahji with us here. You know what? I said we were going to wrap up, but thank you for highlighting that, because I completely missed that. Ohnahji, would you like to request the mic, actually? Because I'd like you to because this really syncs up. You can tell us about the project and what it's doing as well. Yeah? Yeah. Press request for mic. That's the heart button. Okay, okay. I think we may be experiencing a... okay, Ohnahji. Oh, no, we got it. Yes. Okay, Ohnahji, you have the mic. Lay it on us, Big Daddy.
What up, what up, what up? Can you guys hear me all right?
Oh, hell yeah. We can hear you live and direct.
Nice, nice. I had to switch my headphones real quick. I wasn't planning on speaking, but it's all good. Appreciate the room, the space here. I stumbled upon it. How are you guys doing today?
We're all good. We've been discussing everything from relationships and communications to, I don't know, why exploitative political dynamics. It's been busy. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I opted at a very interesting part. I was over here laughing myself, so I didn't know what I got into, but it's all good.
I mean, I've been following Ohnahji. You guys, I like your project. Do you want to tell everybody? I mean, I know you guys are actually booked in to do like a show takeover or something next week or the week after. But while you're here, take the opportunity. Tell us about it, and also how it syncs in with LilDAOS.
Absolutely, absolutely. So. Yeah, so Ohnahji is a 10K NFT PFP project that was founded by myself and our artist Marcus Prime. Yeah, we're an all black team, all black focus. We're really focused on diversity and inclusion in Web3, and just giving that equitable education to the people in the space that need it the most. I'm a super tech nerd myself, and I've been in the crypto space since like 2009. Just like on the learning side, not so much I got funds to drop in and make big bags and stuff, but I've been just focused on teaching other people how they can position themselves in Web3, and especially our black and brown artists and creators, and because we're the trendsetters, so we just have to pivot into the space and utilize the tech, and we'll be fine. We'll be good to go. And I see, I tapped in with the LilDAOS, and they have that same vision, right? They have that same vision of just teaching the tech, and especially to our future, which are the kids. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm in, definitely. I mean,
I'm just going to expand a little on what you said here, because one of the things I remember from one of our previous discussions is you've mentioned something seriously, incredibly creative concepts in terms of your stories and how they're going to be delivered. I mean, do you want to tell some people about it? Because it's a unique delivery system.
As far as from the art, or how because we're kind of changing gears a little bit. We're kind of trying to position ourselves as like an HBCU. So we're focused heavily on our one of our first roadmap markers was our Ohnahji U, so our Ohnahji University Twitter Spaces that we do on Saturdays. We started that at the 5% mint mark, and we kind of noticed that a lot of people need education in this space, especially like our fans of Marcus's previous work and stuff. So yeah, we're trying to go the HBCU route. We're kind of creating that vibe, that's like a uniquely us vibe. So we're trying to just play heavy into that, because we all know that culture, and that's super fun. The steppers and all that good stuff too. So yeah.
Well, if you would like anybody to come on and do some YouTube episodes for your university, ex-senior lecturer of computer science, I would have no issue jumping all over that. Again, like I said to LilDAOS, just hit me up. Let me know what you guys need. I will. Incredibly busy, but I'll still find a way of fitting it in. I'll just have less sleep. It's okay. Sleep when we die.
I hear that, man. I hear that. I appreciate you. I'll definitely tap in, for sure.
Thanks, man. Okay, with that, I am definitely wrapping up now. I would like to say thank you to all of my guests, the ones even who were booked in and the ones who were impromptu. Freaking amazing discussions today, and feel free to keep the discussion alive in your various Discords and on Twitter. If you have any questions, just send me a message. You don't have to DM me. I don't even care if it's a personal question. You still don't have to DM me. Let's keep everything public, transparent, and accountable, and I'll speak to you all soon in the following week. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Thanks, JB.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end.